Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what's up? It's BarrowsBOY. Hi. Man, I don't remember. It's been so long since I've made a YouTube video. I honestly don't remember what like my intro was. What's up, guys? It's BarrowsBOY. I think that's probably it. Anyway, episode of Poll Rundown. Let's just go. Let's go. Let's not even waste time. This is a crazy, 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 crazy important poll, and there's a lot of stuff in this poll that is more than it's like a transformer. It's more than meets the eye. Nerd. So before we get into this poll, I just want to let you know that you really, really, really should read the dev blog. Click the link. It's right there. It'll open up in a new tab on your desktop. Please, please, please read that, and at the very least, for some of these, I would recommend checking out the original dev blogs. You might have to go a little deeper. I'll do my best to explain myself, but obviously you're better off looking into it yourself, as always. The first thing we have is, should the experience tracker and experience drops be added to Old School, much like we had when they were first introduced to RuneScape back in, I don't actually remember, 2010, 9 maybe? Same icon, same function, tracks total XP. You can reset it. You can do what the hell you want with it. XP drops, obviously, that means are coming into the game officially, no longer just through third-party clients. So, you know, there you go. I'm a fan of XP drops, especially the official kind. Let's do it. Should we allow old school bonds to be redeemed for a display name change? You can do this in RS3 already. This will just allow people to do it in 07. Absolutely, yes. Cuts out a lot of middlemanning that honestly is a big pain in the ass. Should it be possible to purchase RuneFest tickets, accommodation, transport using old school bonds? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, of course. I don't know why these two things are being pulled. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. But there we have it. Moving on. Should we add 2 icons to the challenge window at the duel arena that will warn you when your hit points or prayer points are not full? This is a really nice like, it's basically just like an anti-stupid thing. I'm a big fan of it. Obviously, I'm sure there are some crazy people who are like, this takes the skill out of staking. No, it doesn't. Shut up. Should stats be fully restored at the start of a duel? This would prevent players accidentally entering duels with lowered stats. I'm a fan of this. I don't know how many. I'm sure there's some staking purists who, for whatever reason, are not fans of this. The interesting thing about this is if you have boosted stats, they're lowered. They're like brought back down to where they should be. But if you have lowered stats, they're not. I'm not sure how that's even different in the code, but I don't see why not. That's kind of a scam prevention thing as well. If for some reason someone is still pulling the old staking for viewers thing and they stake a friend and purposely lose by drinking a ton of brews before the fight, that certainly prevents that, which is a nice thing. Moving on, should we allow a feature that allows you to choose which F key opens each side panel? This would include the ability to have the escape key close the interface you currently have open. This is really cool. This is basically customization. I'm a big fan of any sort of customization. Plus, it is something a third-party client, namely Orion / OS Buddy. I can't believe I just called it Orion after all this time. OS Buddy has been offering this for a really long time, so there's no reason, no bloody reason, the JMods shouldn't offer it. And the nice thing about this is, as well, people were already doing this. This is something that is allowing the greater player base to do it. It's something, again, you could easily do with OS Buddy. You could also just do it on your computer by rebinding your F keys to work as other F keys, basically. So this is not a problem for me. Absolute yes. Should players be able... Okay, so now we're moving on to the Slayer portion of this poll. This is where stuff gets a little complicated, so this video might be a little long. I apologize, but I'm going to cover it in the best depth I can just so you guys are getting the best information, as always. Should players be able to unlock the chance of getting boss monsters as Slayer assignments through the Slayer reward points shop? Boss Slayer has gone through quite the makeover since it was introduced to Old School. And it started off with, you would get a boss task and you could go kill whatever fuck boss you wanted. That is now changing to, you will just be given a random boss, basically. So you unlock the ability to get bosses as Slayer tasks from, I think, just Niev and Durdel. I might be wrong about that. Please check the dev blog, check my facts, as always. And by the way, as always, there will be a link to relevant information in the description. So yeah, I think Boss Slayer, I think they got it right. Randomizing which boss you have to kill is definitely the way to go about doing that. I'm a fan. Moving on, one of the most hotly debated questions on this poll. Should we introduce Cerberus, the Hellhound Slayer boss, as described in the developer blog? This boss, as well as its makeover, and I guess the introduction of this boss, would bring a new update to Hellhounds, as well as be what was going to be the highest level Slayer requirement monster, but is no longer. Cerberus has gone through even more of a drastic change than the boss Slayer itself. Cerberus first was released in dev blog form without any sort of Slayer requirement, matching Hellhounds themselves. You know, you get a Hellhound boss, okay, so no Slayer requirement. That's silly, seeing as Cerberus is going to drop the 3 highest best-in-slot boots for both magic, range, and melee. They're being dropped in the form of upgrades to the previous 3 best-in-slots, Dragon Boots, Ranger Boots, and Infinity Boots. So never fear, your precious best-in-slot boots will not crash in price. A smart play on Jagex's part. So should we introduce Cerberus, the Hellhound Slayer boss? Like I said, it first started off as a no Slayer requirement. They moved it up to 95, at which point a bunch of feedback was given from people who were like, I can't get 95 Slayer, it's too high. Jagex promptly lowered it to 83? I forget where they actually lowered it. It might have been 81. I forget the exact number, but there was a Reddit posted, a Reddit thread posted on the 2007 Scape subreddit. And in that post, it first said, like, 81 Slayer, and then everybody was like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. You can get D-boots. You can't even get D-boots from Slayer. Until, like, you'd get basically boots that are worse after. So that was quickly fixed and changed to 84, which, again, made a lot of high-level Slayers go, what are you doing? Finally, we've reached, I guess, a middle ground. Cerberus is going to have a 91 Slayer requirement. I was a fan of Cerberus being 95 Slayer. I truly think that's where it belongs. But I fear that voting no means that this update is never going to come out, and I do believe it's a really, really great update. So I personally am voting yes. I gotta say, I totally understand that there are some people out there who are gonna vote no for various reasons. I'm really hoping that, you know, we're going a little deeper on this question. But I'm really, really hoping that the higher leveled Slayers and the elite players of RuneScape don't look at this and go, this isn't a high enough level, and block the content just because of that. So who knows where that will end up? I guess we'll have to see. Should we introduce the Abyssal Sire, the Abyssal Demon Slayer boss, as described in the dev blog? It's an Abyssal Demon boss. Pretty simple. He will drop a lovely set of things, of course, including the Abyssal Whip. And again, these dev blogs don't include anything about how these bosses are taken down. It's just kind of a concept. So we see pictures, we see what they're dropping. In the case of the Abyssal Sire, we're getting the new best-in-slot crush weapon, best DPS crush weapon in the game. And we're also getting the Abyssal Dagger, both of which are coming with a special attack. I encourage you to read up on those. The special attack, much like everything else in this dev blog, when it comes to Slayer, has gone through several makeovers. But I'm a fan of the Abyssal Sire. Regardless of whether it drops anything good, I like a boss version of Abyssal Demons. I think that's a nice addition to Slayer. Moving on, should players be able to unlock the chance of getting Tazar Slayer tasks? This is a Jad task. Absolutely. This is great. They're also adding in the 25k bonus experience after you finish this task. So you finish, you kill Jad, and then you get another 25,000 Slayer experience on top of it. Should be a very great Slayer assignment for a lot of reasons. XP is one of them. And of course, stocking up on fire capes. And pending the passing of this next question, should there be a very small chance of receiving a Jad pet after killing Jad, then sweet, chance at Jad pet. Absolutely yes. The Jad pet comes in 2 forms. Once you kill Jad, you get a small chance. I'm assuming this chance, if I was a Jagex dev, I would probably say, okay, let's see. Well, we've got, let's see, people have 100 fire capes, blah blah blah. I would probably put this around a 1 in 250 chance. Now, that's just the kind of, that's my thought process, is this sounds like fair. This seems like a fair drop rate. Jagex tends with the pets to err on the side of impossible / super hard to get. So I imagine this drop rate will actually probably be somewhere around 1 in 500. Especially because you have a second chance, you can, I guess, opt in for a second chance at the pet by cashing in fire capes. So theoretically, when you go in, you kill Jad, you get your Fire Cape, you come out, you get a chance at the pet. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't get the pet. You can then trade in your Fire Cape for another chance at the pet. So theoretically, every single Jad kill, you're getting 2 chances at the Jad pet. So I imagine we'll have something like 1 in 500 will be probably more like the drop rate. Although now that I say that, and the fact that I've come to that conclusion, I really wouldn't be surprised if Jagex was just like, hey, 1 in 1,000. That is yet to, I guess we'll figure that out eventually, right? Moving on, should extensions to tasks listed in the developer blog be added to the Slayer reward point shop? This is basically just, can I have more of a certain monster from Slayer? Pretty simple. There's nothing, at least in my opinion, that's unbalanced. It's just if you like a particular Slayer task, you can get more of that monster during your Slayer task. So much like the extended Abyssal Demons, Spiritual Mages, stuff like that, you can just get more. Moving on, should the Herb Sack, an item that can store up to 30 of each grimy herb, be added to the Slayer reward point shop? I'm a fan of the Herb Sack. I'm not sure how useful anyone will actually, how much use it'll actually get, but it's one of those items that there's a lot of Slayer tasks that just kind of drop herbs, and the way Slayer is now, say an Abyssal, not Abyssal, sorry, I'm forgetting the name, an Abbey Spectre, let's just go with that. Seeing as those tasks kind of just overload you with herbs, an efficient Slayer doesn't have the time nor the envy space to actually pick up the herbs during those tasks. So this would make that actually possible. I don't see this crashing the herb market or anything. I think it'll just be a useful item for some folks who, want a little more out of their herbs from Slayer. Moving on, should the Stronghold Slayer Cave be extended, adding black demons, blue dragons, and red dragons? The red dragon thing I actually didn't know about. I knew about the blue dragons, but that red dragon thing just caught me off guard. I try to prepare for these videos, and I must have missed the red dragon thing. I don't remember red dragons ever being assigned as a Slayer task on my end, but adding blue dragons might just make having blue dragons as a Slayer task useful. So I am more than a fan of that. I think more black demons is another excellent thing that this game desperately needs. Taverley Dungeon is always packed. In what is now RS3, there's like 500 million places you can kill black demons. There's literally only one in this game, at least one that's, reasonable. So I'm more than happy to vote yes to that one. Should we increase the amount of black demons, blue and baby dragons in Taverley Dungeon, red dragons in Brimhaven Dungeon, and introduce baby green dragons to the Brimhaven Dungeon? This is along the same line as that, that last question, kind of supplying more monsters where demand is needed, and I'm a fan. I am absolutely a fan. Should Dark Beast and Spiritual Mage drop tables be improved slightly as detailed in the dev blog? So Dark Beasts are getting kind of more of an overhaul than anything. Spirit Mages are just kind of getting a buff, so the amount of runes they drop is going to be more. Dark Beasts are having certain items. I would assume alchable stuff that's alch value based. I'm assuming that's the kind of thing that they're going to have added. So yep, more than happy to say yes to that. Dark Beast drop tables are definitely something that, they leave something to be desired. And Spirit Mages, well, you get deboots, but what other than that do you get? Basically, if you're slaying, you pick up nature runes from Spirit Mages and nothing else. So I'm kind of interested to see how that works out. Hopefully it's not too terrible. Should Slayer assignment tables be reworked as described in the developer blog? Now, this question, crazy important. The initial description, and I imagine this question is failing, because the initial description of this question was they would be leveling the playing field. They would be making basically every single task have an equal chance. Here's why that's a bad thing, and forgive me if I rant. A Slayer master like Duradel has a ton of monsters on his table. He has almost everything in the Fremennik Slayer dungeon on his table, as well as everything, pretty much everything, minus Dark Beasts that Niev can give you. Or I guess including Dark Beasts. Now, if you put all those tasks on a level playing field, well, damn it, you're just going to get really shitty Cockatrice, Basilisk. You're just going to get all the shitty tasks, Infernal Mages. You're just getting all those shitty tasks as often as you get Abyssal Demons, Dark Beasts, the higher level tasks that you get more often. So initially, there was this big outcry of like, please vote no to this. Since those outcries, a couple people have reached out to JMods on Twitter, and we've learned that looks like they're planning on not necessarily just making a level playing field, but also in the case of Duradel, completely removing some of the those tasks that make things just kind of terrible. If those things are removed, it would make Duradel a viable Slayer Master. The only reason you switch to him is so that you can get Dark Beasts. I just got 90 Slayer and you know, kind of went through the motions of trying to switch to Duradel to get Dark Beasts. It's just not worth it. He gives you so much crap, and if you've been using Niev long enough, um, you're basically stuck with your blocks, and you have to rework your entire block list to fit with Duradel. They are very, very different Slayer Masters. Duradel is designed, you know, obviously before 2007, and Niev was designed, you know, in 2015. So it's a little, they're very different. Niev is still probably the better Slayer Master, but I would love to see Duradel actually be made worth it. I think that would be great. So I'm a fan of this. Like I said, the initial mistake that they made in, I guess, communicating, or, you know, whether they thought that they were just going to make everything on a level playing field in terms of chance to, you know, get that monster as a Slayer test, that's apparently not a thing. So I'm voting yes. I imagine this question will fail just because of the way they communicated it to the community, which was basically through Twitter, and there was really no other, how to say it, there was really no other, you know, public mass release of new information. The dev blog that covers the poll, the one that you can get to through this link, literally just restates the question. It's completely useless. Anyway, we can talk about how much I hate how Jagex runs these polls another time. Let's move on. Since the release of God Wars Dungeon, Kree-Ara's magic attack... Okay, let's not even droll on. Basically, as is right now, Kree-Ara's magic attack is range-based. It's basically a range attack that is using magic. It's kind of like a Bloodveld's melee attack that's magic-based melee. Basically meaning that, like, over the years, the meta gear at Armadyl has been completely wrong because players have always assumed that it's magic-based. This came out recently when someone was like, hey, is it range-based? They just kind of, like, asked the question, and Mod Ash was like, oh yeah, that's weird. So, I don't know why that is. It basically would mean that the Spectral Spirit Shield would actually be useful and be good at this boss, like it's supposed to be. Or like it should have been, I guess I should say. I'm a fan of this just because it'll keep the gear, you know, the meta gear will stay the same. It'll also make it so that, like, Armadyl gear is actually useful. You don't often have a use for actually using the Armadyl plate and legs. Going to the actual boss is one of those uses, but if you're praying range and the only other attack that's hitting you is a magic attack from a minion, a range attack from the damn boss, and a melee attack, you're going to want to sub out your Arma Chain Skirt for something more tanky in melee and range. So this actually makes the Arma Chain Skirt decent. And for those of you worried that this might make the boss easier, talking to people and, you know, having discussed this with folks, it looks like this is going to be actually a harder boss now. Probably not by much, but it's supposedly, from what people are theorizing, the boss is going to get a little harder. So, if you're worried about Arma getting easier, fret not, or at least maybe don't fret as much, because it's possible that it's going to get harder. Moving on, should the Wilderness Swords, one of the rewards for completing any of the Wilderness Achievement Diaries, be able to cut through any spiderweb without fail? I think this is really cool. It's another incentive to actually use an Achievement Diary item, so I'm a fan of it. I don't think those webs are particularly, like, game-breaking if you could cut them on the first try. And it's not like PKers are suddenly going to be bringing Wildy Swords with them. Or maybe they will, who knows. But I'm voting yes. Should the additional kill messages induced in the Bounty Hunter update be removed? This is silly. I laughed when I read it the first time. I don't even know. I don't care. Sure. Basically, they added some new kill messages when you kill your opponent in the wilderness. It says, oh, I beat you. Haha. And the JMods added some meme-tastic, dank new messages. And, well, they want to be removed now. So, I guess, sure, let's remove them or something. Should the shortcut in the Calphite lair be moved to take you much closer to the Calphite room entrance? I would love that. It actually makes that diary reward useful. Feel free to explore the Calphite Queen Cave. I'm sure you won't, but this is basically something that'll make the Achievement Diary shortcut useful as opposed to just kind of nice. it'll be like, oh, sweet, this is great. Moving on, should a new right-click option be added to Clue Scrolls to let you know how many steps you've completed? I love this. This is incredible. As someone who streams, and I always am like, people are like, hey, what step are you on? I have no idea. So this will be real nice. Should the bank deposit box found in Port Castle be replaced by a bank chest? This might just make the trawler minigame doable. Not that people need to be doing it anyway. I don't know if there is any demand for manta rays in this game, or sea turtles for that matter. But I think that's a good change, and in a world where there are people doing trawler, that's a helpful thing. So I'm voting yes. This is an interesting update. Should the BarrowsBOY have a range attack of +7? Currently it has +3. This would bring it in balance with the God Coifs, if not better. I actually don't remember. It's either right in balance or slightly better. Obviously, it's Barrow's gear. It should be better than the baseline Black D-Hide, or equal to, right? I'm pretty sure they made it equal to. That would be my guess. I'm pretty sure the initial idea was +5, and people were like, hey, normal coifs, the Black D-Hide coifs, the God coifs, are +5, or rather are +7, so what's the point? This doesn't do anything. So I believe they've brought the BarrowsBOY in balance with the other T70 range headgear, so that's nice. I'm a fan. It's still a useless item, but hey, at least let's make it not look useless. Should a fairy ring be added to Ape Atoll? The fairy ring would be usable after returning to Dyro and completing your training after Monkey Madness. Not sure how I feel about this. I'm voting yes. There's a teleport for a reason. I'm not sure where they're putting the fairy ring, but apparently it's something the community wants. It's one of those things that I don't think that's, I don't think it's unbalanced. I think it's just one of those, convenience things. Sure, you're changing something that's been true about this game for a very long time, which is, I'm not a fan of that, but it was clearly something that was relatively heavily requested, so I will jump on the bandwagon for that one. Should an option to count the number of players in a boss room be added for each boss in Old School? Basically, click the door, how many players are in there. Cool, I'll hop worlds. This is great for stuff like DKs. They already put one in where you can check the ladder and without going in there, see how many people are in there. This is great. It's just a convenience thing. It's definitely a nice little anti-crashing method. It'll make people be more patient with finding their own world instead of crashing. So I'm a big fan of this update. It does a lot more than it says on the surface. So absolutely yes from me. Should the message that warns you when your canyon is about to decay be recolored? Yeah, I would love that. I'm not sure what color they're going to choose, but anything is better than that red color that apparently my brain has decided to completely ignore. Should a colored message appear in your chat box when you receive a champion scroll drop? Absolutely. Helps people without OS Buddy actually see their champion scroll drops. And when you are actually hunting champion scrolls, you're killing thousands upon thousands of these monsters. It's very easy, especially when you have a cannon just firing in all directions, to miss one of these drops. So when you get it, you want to make sure you get it, and I'm a big fan of a message in the chat box. Should the doors at Barbarian Assault be made to stay permanently open? That helps people who are woodcutting, basically. Nothing other than that. Sure, why not? It's a convenience thing. I don't mind. We're almost done. Should Purdo, I'm trying to whip through these last questions because they're kind of lame. Should Purdo, the NPC found upstairs in the Edgefield General Store who sells back some untradeable items, sell back achievement area equipment? Yes, absolutely. Should the Clan Wars FFA portal in the arena be moved further south in the area of the line where the combat zone begins? Yes. Why is it so far away? Should we revert the Maple log item graph to match the other logs in name? Thank the Lord Almighty that I didn't say words, but Maple logs are back. Hopefully. Moving on, should the Birth Orb teleport on the Games Necklace and Games Room minigame teleport have their destinations switched? This would mean the Games Necklace takes you to the castle courtyard, and the minigame teleport takes you to just outside the Games Room. This is, if you can divert your eyes over here, this would make the Games Room telly actually take you to the Games Room and would make the necklace take you outside the castle, which I'm a fan of, because most of the time when you use a Games Necklace to go there, you're probably going to the Rogue's Den or the Heroes Guild or the Warriors Guild. So definitely something I'm a fan of. Voting yes, no one uses the Games Room. Sorry, Games Room, I love you, but no one uses you. Should we add an Impling Jar to the contents of Hunter Kits created with the Lunar Spell Hunter Kit? Yes! It would actually make this spell kind of useful. I've used it on occasion, but an Impling Jar would actually be really useful to this spell. Yes, yes, and more. Yes. Finally, we're almost done. Here is one of the more controversial topics in this poll: should we add a tradable, stackable item that can be purchased from and sold to an NPC for 1,000 coins? This would allow players with enough money to exceed the limit for a single item stack to keep hold of their gold without running out of space. The Grand Exchange and shops would still only expect coins, not this new item, when paying for items. This is a hotly debated and very, I guess, controversial question. Basically, it is the majority of RuneScape, or at least the general masses of RuneScape, asking for something that will, in theory, help the 0.00001% of players who have maxed cash stacks and more. And by helping them, the theory is that high-level items that are supposedly being hoarded by these high levels come back into the market, thus theoretically lowering their prices. I don't know how much I buy into that, but I'm a fan of this update for one reason, and it's convenience to a certain player base. I personally don't think there will be much change to higher level stuff like LEs and Third Age. I think that stuff is staying where it is. I don't think this changes. I don't think this makes them drop. Personally, I think their values should be high and should be where they are now. They're rare for a reason. However, again, this is a hotly debated question, and at least we've improved from an item that was worth 1 billion coins to an item that's worth 1,000 coins, and it is an item that is now tradable. So it's a good way of keeping your cash if you don't have the space for it. Obviously, if you've hit the Java limit. I don't know. I have nothing else to say. Basically, my opinion on this one is I don't see this doing anything terrible to the economy. I honestly don't think it has much of an effect at all. Like I said, it's affecting the 700 O's 1% of RuneScape players. And those players are stakers, and if this item wasn't tradable, it would be completely useless. They couldn't stake with it. So as long as they can stake with it, I think it's a good update. Helps them out just a tad bit. Not that they need the help, but it helps them out. So I'm voting yes. I can totally understand why someone would vote no, though. So I just kind of off the get-go don't expect that question to pass. Should we add the air guitar emote and a music cape? These would become available after unlocking every music track. Very simple. Good old air guitar is back, and a music cape as well for collecting every track in the game. I don't think this would be like a skill cape, although Jagex hasn't said whether it will be. I don't know. It's probably not like a skill cape, but who knows, it could be. Unfortunately, for those of you who think you might be really close like I am missing several music tracks. A couple I just, haven't been to certain places. However, there are some, like Bunny's Sugar Rush, that I won't be able to get until next Easter. Hooray. Maybe they'll fix that. I don't know. But yes, air guitar. If it has a chance at reviving the RSMV, I am more than happy to vote yes. Finally, last but not least, should an option be added to the player-owned house menu to summon your butler when you are in your house? The option would only function when you have a bell in your house. I like this a lot. Going to the bell to get your butler is a real pain in the ass. Fortunately, I have mine very close to where you would normally be training. But there are definitely cases where having having the ability to summon them is very useful. So I'm definitely voting yes. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will be streaming most certainly on my channel, twitch.tv/BarrowsBOY. Feel free to click the link on screen somewhere that probably says I'm streaming, or feel free to click the link in the description. Hang out. I'm there almost every single day streaming RS and other various games. Would love to have you. As always, please read the dev blogs. I will do my best to link every really, the most relevant ones. I'll link the Slayer dev blog for sure. I will obviously be linking just the polls dev blog, and maybe a couple others if I can dig them up. Thank you so much for watching Poll Rundown. Sorry for the inactivity here over on YouTube. This is a very important poll, though, and I figured it needed a poll rundown. Thank you so much for watching. Happy voting. Read your dev blogs. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.